So it wasn't a dream. Arsenal really did win a Premier League game. In this video, I look back on yesterday's performance against Chelsea. Hello, my name is Richard. Welcome back to my channel over and over again, the Positive Arsenal channel. In this video, I'm going to look back on yesterday's superb victory over Chelsea here at the Emirates. Really made our Christmas, didn't it? Just before I get into all that, I want to make sure that you are subscribing to my channel. If you're new here, you like what I do, or if you've maybe been before, you haven't done it yet, please subscribe by clicking on the button down in the corner there. Please give this video a thumbs up as well if you like it. And if you've got any comments to make about the game yesterday or anything at all to do with Arsenal, please drop them in the comments box below, as I love to hear from you guys as well. So in terms of team selection, there were quite a lot of changes. Some were enforced and some not so. But in the end, it turned out to be a really good selection that worked really well. There was a slight change to the formation. We did go to a 4-2-3-1, which of course is a formation that Arteta, I think, has always favoured. We just haven't always maybe had the players fit and available to make it work. But he did go with that yesterday. So we started with Leno in goal as expected. The back four, it was Bellerin at right back. A little bit of a controversial choice, of course, back from suspension now. Maitland-Niles hasn't really done anything wrong in that position. So it was a bit of a surprise to see Bellerin get straight back in the team, but he was there. And the centre backs were Holding and Mari, with of course David Luiz and Gabriel both missing through COVID protocol. And then left back, as expected, was Kieran Tierney. The two sitting in midfield, it was Elneny, who played in the last few games, and Granit Xhaka came straight back into the side following his suspension. Again, not a very popular choice amongst the fans when the team was announced, but as we'll see, it didn't prove to be a bad decision in the end. But this was, to me, where the real changes were. Again, not always enforced, of course, with Willian out through the COVID-19 protocols as well. So the three sitting in behind the striker, this was, to me, was where the game was won and lost. It was Martinelli on the left, managed to recover from that injury he got against Manchester City, Bukayo Saka on the right, and Smith Rowe in the number 10 position. So a lot of youth there. You know, the oldest player out of those three, Smith Rowe, who's 20. So a lot of youthful energy in those important positions. And they were playing behind the striker of Alexander Lacazette. It's a little bit disappointing that Balogun wasn't on the bench, but other than that, it was probably the strongest team that we could have selected, despite those couple of controversial inclusions with Bellerin and Xhaka being in the team. But as it turned out, as we'll see, they didn't prove to be bad picks in the end from Mikel Arteta. So for me, the difference in this performance compared to the last few in the Premier League was literally those three playing in behind the striker. It's funny, isn't it, how without Aubameyang, Willian and Pepe in those three positions, suddenly we had a lot more movement, we had a lot more energy, we had a lot more quality, and that's what made the difference in this game. Martinelli's a massive bonus, isn't he, having him back fit again. He was fantastic against Manchester City the other night until his injury, and he was fantastic in this game as well. His drive and his energy and his quality really do lift us from being quite an average team into a team that can actually compete against some of the best teams in the league. And I think that if he can stay fit in the second half of the season, then things are going to be a hell of a lot better. I also want to give massive praise to Bukayo Saka as well. I know playing on the right of those three isn't his most natural position, of course, being left-footed, but he gives us so much more there than either Willian or Pepe. And for me, he's a natural choice now to play in that position. And of course, Smith Rowe in number 10, a natural number 10 finally playing there. He obviously is going to give us a lot more than players like Lacazette, who's played there, and Nketiah, who's played there, even Joe Willock, who's played there. He's a lot better than any of those other options. And again, you can see the difference that it made having him in that position. Also as well, that movement around him actually brought the best out of Lacazette as well. He was able to drop deeper, hold the ball, bring those others into the play, and their movement and running off the ball was fantastic. And that's what, in the end, I say, for me, made the difference. I also felt as though there were a lot more good, solid relationships in this side that worked really well. Down the left-hand side, Tierney and Martinelli really linked up well. That looked like a fantastic relationship there. On the right, Bellerin and Saka as well linked up really well. Saka did really well defensively to cover for Bellerin at times when he went forward. And I just thought there were good partnerships throughout the team. I thought Holding and Mari worked well as a centre-back partnership. I think that's the first time they've ever played together as well. And that looked like it's got potential. I mean, I think Gabriel will probably come straight back in when he's available again. but certainly there was no issues with either of those two playing together. I thought they played well, and of course then you had El Neni and Xhaka in the two holding positions, and they seem to complement each other really well. Again, I think when Thomas Partey's back, he's going to slip into that area of the pitch, but certainly in the meantime those two make a decent partnership, and I thought that was a difference. There were relationships and partnerships that worked, where in the last few games in the Premier League certainly that hasn't been the case, has it? We've been playing players who don't maybe play well together, don't link well together, and that to me was the key difference in this game, and you could see what difference it made. And you could also see the difference when the substitutions were made a bit later in the game. Of course, it was Smith Rowe and Martinelli were two of the players who were taken out, and you could see that it was Pepe and Willock who came on, and we looked nowhere near as effective when those two were on the pitch later in the game. So you can see the difference that made. And although it wasn't necessarily by choice from Arteta, he was forced into those decisions, wasn't he, with Willian particularly not being available. But it was good that he used the opportunity to pick those three. And it did work, and that was the difference I thought in this game. I can't believe people complain that it wasn't a penalty. Quite clearly he got clipped, didn't he, the back of his leg by Reece James. It was an obvious penalty, good decision by the referee, and good job that VAR as well decided not to overrule it. Why would they have done? I saw some ridiculous comments from some of the commentators on Sky, not surprisingly, saying that it wasn't a penalty, but it clearly was, and it was well taken by Lacazette, the third different player actually to score a penalty for us this season, following Aubameyang and Nicolas Pepe. So it's good that we've got options to take penalties as well. And the move that built up to the penalty was a good move. And of course the second goal, again, Granit Xhaka, a fantastic free kick, wasn't it? He's capable of doing that. He's scored a few in his time at Arsenal. He has scored quite a lot of goals from outside the box. He's got a great left foot, and it was good. He's had a lot of criticism. Even in being in this starting lineup was criticised before the game. He more than justified it yesterday with that free kick, a fantastic goal. And of course, it was a crucial goal as well, wasn't it? At a crucial time, just before half time, to make it 2-0. And then of course the third goal as well, brilliant goal that was from Bukayo Saka. A lot of people say it was a cross, or maybe it was, I don't know. He said afterwards he'd seen the keeper off his line and he meant it. And if he did, fair play. It was a great goal and a great finish, and that just really put a seal on it. Chelsea were poor. Let's not get carried away. But then I think we contributed to that as well with the energy that we showed. I think we maybe caught them out a little bit. If Frank Lampard had watched our last few games, he would have been expecting a completely different Arsenal performance than what we produced. And I think that was a contributory factor to Chelsea's flat performance, actually. I think we forced that on them. Towards the end, of course, it did get a little bit nervy, didn't it, when they got that goal back. And you look at the VAR decision. I mean, the linesman originally had flagged for offside, and you can see why, because he did look as though he was slightly ahead of Hector Bellerin. And of course, with the VAR, with their lines, decided he was just onside. I think in the past that goal gets disallowed. It did give Chelsea a bit of a lift, didn't it? And they then of course got that penalty right near the end. And what a great save it was from Leno as well. Another player who's come in for some criticism this season, produced a great save when it mattered. I think if that penalty goes in, it's 3-2. There was 5 minutes of stoppage time left on the run that we're on. I don't think anybody would have been surprised if Chelsea had grabbed a third goal as well. And I think throwing away a 3-goal lead in the last 5 minutes could have killed our season. So that was a really important moment in this game. He didn't have a lot to do, Leno, in this particular match, but that was a fantastic save, a crucial save at a crucial time, and that helped to get us over the line. I mean, man of the match for a change, there's a lot of different options. In fact, you could almost go through the whole team 1 to 11. They all were fantastic. They put in a great performance in this game. They all worked really hard and did everything that you could have expected of them. I'm looking at some individual performances. I thought Bellerin, again, another controversial inclusion in the team. I thought he had a decent game. Yes, defensively, sometimes he's a little bit shaky. I thought Saka helped him out a lot with that. But going forward, he did well. Not always the best delivery, but we know that. But I thought Bellerin had a decent game and certainly justified his selection in the team. Rob Holding as well, I want to give credit to him. He's another player that maybe has lapses of concentration, but I thought he was really switched on and focused in this game. In fact, he's played well against Chelsea a few times, hasn't he? Maybe it's a good opposition for him, but he put in a really good performance. It was good to see Pablo Mari as well, his first start in the Premier League since March. Yes, he had a couple of moments, didn't he? He got booked, of course, for that foul in the first half, and then he was a bit clumsy at the penalty, giving away the penalty, wasn't he, late on in this game? But overall, I thought he was solid. In the front three, I say all three of those players, Saka, Smith Rowe and Martinelli, were all fantastic, weren't they? Saka for his goal. I know he was given man of the match, wasn't he, by Sky, I think, and certainly on the Arsenal website as well. And you can't really argue with that. I thought he was brilliant. Smith Rowe had a big influence on the game with his intelligent movement. And Martinelli, of course, is Martinelli, isn't he? Fantastic player, and what a great boost it is having him back and fit. And of course, Lacazette up front, I thought worked hard. But for me, I'm going to make, and maybe it might be a little bit controversial, I don't know. But for me, I'm going to select the man of the match as Granit Xhaka. He's coming for a lot of stick this season, and rightly so. And of course, he did take a massive amount of criticism for what happened against Burnley a few weeks ago when he got sent off. But what the best way to respond from any player is when you're back in the team is to put in a performance, and that's what he did from first minute to last. I thought he was excellent. It was just an all-round good performance from Xhaka, and of course he tops it off with that great free kick as well. And I say it was a crucial goal at a crucial point, and that really clinched the win for me. I think 1-0 at half time. It was going to be a difficult second half, but that second goal gave us a little bit of breathing space. Really important goal, a great free kick it was, and I thought his performance overall was fantastic. I say along with many others, but for me, I think he just about maybe shaded it, maybe just because of the criticism that he's taken, and to bounce back from that sending off that he got against Burnley, it was important that he put in a performance, and to play like he did was fantastic. So for me, the man of the match is going to go to Granit Xhaka. So I mean, what can you say? We needed a win, we needed a performance, and we got it, and in great style as well. I think most of us would have taken a scrappy 1-0 in the circumstances that we're in, and especially against that lot. So to win in the manner that we did was far beyond any of our expectations. I mean, before the game on our show, we were sort of saying that we'd be lucky we'd have took a draw. So to put in a performance like that was brilliant. What's important now is that this isn't a one-off, that we now go on and push on from here. The last time we put in a half-decent performance in the Premier League was our last victory on November the 1st away at Manchester United, and of course we all know what happened since then. It's important this time that we build on this great performance and this great victory. I'm hoping that Mikel Arteta now realises that having those three playing, the youngsters Saka, Smith Rowe, Martinelli, is the way forward for this team. If he carries on playing those three in the next couple of games, I can see us getting more decent results and pulling us away from the trouble that we're in. This needs to be the start. This doesn't need to be a one-off. Let's enjoy it, and it was well worth enjoying. But if we lose the next two games, or we don't put in good performance in the next two games, then it would have been a complete waste, wouldn't it? For me, this is the way I expected this Arsenal team to progress under Arteta, actually. Playing this formation, playing with this amount of energy. And it's great that we've finally done it now, but I say what we need to do is this needs to be the first of a series of performances like that before we can start to relax, and before we can start to believe that we've turned a corner and that we're going to be heading in the right direction going into 2021. But I say let's enjoy this. Let's give credit where it's due to say some of the players who've been in for criticism. Leno, of course, fantastic penalty save as well. Let's not forget about that. I think we all need to understand that it is still a process. We're not the finished article yet. Hopefully January can bring us a couple of new signings just to give us a boost. But I think this team showed that with the right players in the right positions, with the right relationships in the team, we can become a decent team, and we can challenge again in the top 6 and in the top 4. It just takes a little bit of tweaking here and there, 1 or 2 new additions, and I say Mikel Arteta keeping faith in these young players. Please let me know in the comments what your thoughts were on the game yesterday, on the initial team selection. I know it did raise a few eyebrows at first, but it worked out well, didn't it, in the end? Also, let me know your thoughts on the upcoming games as well. Do you think Arteta's going to make too many changes, or do you think he'll stick with his formation and this team now? It's just proved themselves, and let's hope that they can go on a run now and get us away from trouble. So thanks for watching the channel. Thanks for the support that I've received. If you haven't done so yet, please click on the subscribe button down in the corner there. Please give this video the thumbs up as well, because it really does help it to get noticed on social media. I will be doing a full preview of the Brighton game as well, coming up in the next day or so. And also as well, I'll be looking back on the year of 2020 from an Arsenal perspective. Of course, Mikel Arteta's first year in charge at the club, a year of ups and downs. And I'll be looking back on that as well, and then looking at where we'll be going, or where we hope to go in 2021. Hopefully it'll be a little bit more of a consistent year, certainly, rather than the ups and downs that we've suffered in this particular year. Let's hope, of course, that it's a better year all round for everybody as well. So all that's coming up as well. So stay tuned to the channel. Thanks a lot for your support. And of course, in the meantime, as always, we're moving into some more really big games for Arsenal, this, isn't it? Come on, you Gunners!